What's going on, everyone? So there's still a big question about James Harden. Is he the next to get moved? We obviously know that he wants to leave the Philadelphia 76ers. He's still very hopeful that he gets traded. He still wants to go to the Los Angeles Clippers. He was even at a club recently, and all like the bottle girls were holding signs that said, Daryl Morey is a liar and stuff. So he's still doing everything in his power to get traded from the Philadelphia 76ers, and his destination is the Los Angeles Clippers. And the Clippers engaged in conversation with Daryl Morey about trading for James Harden, but it looks like that went nowhere. And the last reports that we saw, the Clippers basically cooled off and are like, hey, we're good. Which, again, I completely understand. I completely get it. I don't think James Harden makes a lot of sense for the Clippers, but you know who I do think makes a lot of sense and who I do think the Clippers should absolutely go after is Jrue Holiday. Right? James Harden, again, doesn't make a world of sense, especially with Russell Westbrook. Yeah, you could have Russell Westbrook come off the bench, but even then, I don't know. I just feel like that would be clunky. Where Jrue Holiday, I think, would just fit in seamlessly with the Clippers. Right? You could go starting five of Russ, Jrue, right? Paul George, Kawhi, and Zoo. That's ridiculous on both sides of the basketball. You'd probably be one of, if not the best defensive teams in the league. You have five guys that could score the basketball. I really do think Jrue Holiday would be majorly impactful for the Los Angeles Clippers. Now, Clippers' biggest issue, of course, is just injuries, right? Kawhi Leonard and Paul George just can't stay healthy and on the court. But Jrue Holiday may help take a lot of pressure off of that, as well as Russell Westbrook, right? Because now you can Paul George and Kawhi don't have to do as much, as often, as frequent. And that was kind of the idea of getting Russell Westbrook regardless. And he was great for them and had the best stint of his career when he went from the Lakers to the Clippers. And it made sense that the Clippers brought him back. And I do think he's going to continue to be really good for the Los Angeles Clippers this upcoming season. But having that guy in Jrue Holiday alongside a Russell Westbrook, Russ showed that he can play defense and be very good defensively. So now you got him as a great point of attack guy, and he's actually really good defending bigger players. He really seems to like to take the challenge when defending bigger guys, and just seems to match up really well against those type of players. So the idea is okay, you got him. That could really help your versatility defensively, right? Because you got Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, and Russell Westbrook. You add in a guy like Jrue Holiday, and now you have four guys that can all defend out on the perimeter, all basically switch 1 through 4. And again, the impact you'd have on the defensive side. Not just that, but Jrue Holiday could be that playmaker for them as well, right? Russ, when he's out the game, you could have Jrue Holiday immediately step in and be that point guard, be that playmaker, be that facilitator. It's just, out of all the places that he could go, the Clippers, in my opinion, have to be up there as one of the better options. And look, this is coming from somebody that is a Laker fan, right? The last thing I want is the Clippers to be better. But if I remove my bias and, take a step aside, I really just, the more that I think about it, the more I'm like, Clippers make a world of sense. A team like Boston does too, right? Clippers aren't the only team that makes sense. Obviously, the Lakers would make beautiful sense as well, but the Lakers aren't able to trade for him right now. And I just don't see him sticking around very long. My guess is that he ends up getting moved by Monday. While you're watching this, he could be traded, right? That wouldn't surprise me at all. But I like the idea. He also really fits the timeline of these Clipper stars. And, even the contracts and stuff like that, right? Because there's a real question. Are the Clippers going to extend Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, right? Worst case scenario, you could go and trade for Jrue Holiday, and when their contracts run out, so could Jrue Holiday's, and you could kind of just start from scratch again if you wanted to, right? Not saying that they should or they have to. Now, obviously, again, they're going to have some competition. He wants to go to a contender, right? And if the Clippers are healthy, they are a contending team. They are very good, very deep, very talented. They just can't stay healthy. They cannot stay on the basketball court, specifically their two stars. But beyond the Clippers, I mean, Miami, do they really look and make a push and go, okay, well, we couldn't get Dame, so maybe we could go get Jrue Holiday to kind of supplement that. Team like Denver, there's plenty of teams that absolutely could go and make a push for Jrue Holiday. But I really look at the Clippers as one of the destinations that I think they're already all in, right? It's not like they have a ton of flexibility and all these draft picks and stuff like that. You're essentially already all in. You see them now starting to like really sign and trade for some younger players and stuff, because I think that they kind of sniff that like, okay, like we're kind of getting in this position where we're very likely going to have to start a rebuild very soon, and we don't have a bunch of draft picks, so let's take some flyers on some guys. They just went and signed Primo to a two-way deal. But Jrue Holiday is one of those rare players that you can throw him on any roster in the entire league, and he will immediately make an impact. And I think he's kind of that missing glue piece that you're already all in, continue to push your chips to the table. You have expiring contracts, so that way, Portland doesn't have to take on a bunch of long-term contracts or anything like that. You give up whatever draft picks you have to give up. Maybe you throw in a Terrence Mann or something. It would suck to lose Terrence Mann, but Jrue Holiday, again, you're going to have for at least the next 2+ years. You ride this last little stint. You hope you win an NBA championship, and Jrue Holiday's that piece, takes you over the top. Again, Russell Westbrook, Jrue Holiday, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, and Zoo starting five. Good luck. Again, that is tough. They match up seamlessly with every team in the league, right? Like, they have everything you need to be successful and win an NBA championship. So I just think that that's the best course of action for the Clippers, right? They need to make some type of splash, but they don't have the assets to go and make a huge splash for some big star or something like that, right? Like, there weren't even talks about them going after Damian Lillard because they have no chance to get a Damian Lillard. A guy like James Harden, you could probably get just because, again, like the market for him is very slim, very small. He's a expiring contract, so no team's going to go trade for him, and he doesn't want to play there. So now they just traded away whatever they traded away to lose him, right? And he's said he wants to go to the Clippers. He's made it very apparent and very clear he wants to go to the Clippers. So yeah, could they trade for James Harden? Sure. But outside of that, there's not very many guys, at least right now. Obviously, it's like every few months somebody becomes available that you're like, I didn't see that coming, right? So it's very possible that somebody on the horizon ends up becoming available, especially around the trade deadline or something. But the way I look at it is, why take the risk? Why take the chance? Like, it's kind of that like one in the hand is worth two in the bush type thing. If you have an opportunity to go get Jrue Holiday now, right? It's like, who's going to be available that's that much better? And again, you have the contracts to go and trade for Jrue Holiday. Jrue Holiday is a guy that shows up, comes to play, can hit shots for you down the stretch, play elite defense, guard the best player on the other team, which would take pressure off of Kawhi Leonard, would take pressure off of Paul George. Guy that go get you 20 on any given night. He fits his role seamlessly, right? He's not a guy that's going to start crying and complaining about, touches or whatever. He's a veteran guy. He'd be good for the young talent that you do have on the roster. He'd be a good veteran leader, a good presence, a guy that, when you have Paul George or Kawhi Leonard take the night off, he's a guy that can easily step in and kind of make up for some of the lack of production you're going to get from those guys. To me, it's a no-brainer to go get a Jrue Holiday, and snatch him up now before Miami or somebody ends up picking him up, or a Boston ends up picking him up. You're seeing all these teams. I mean, the Phoenix Suns, the Milwaukee Bucks, the Boston Celtics. I mean, even the Lakers, who, yes, the Clippers have just seemed to have their number the last few years, but they've improved mightily and got a bunch of size and depth and talent. And the point is that you're seeing all these teams make these improvements, make these adjustments to start trying to push harder for an NBA championship. And it's like the Clippers have basically kind of been just there. I mean, they had some nice moves and some nice acquisitions at the trade deadline, but again, their stars couldn't stay healthy, right? So it's like, what can you do? Well, if you get a guy in Jrue Holiday that can maybe take off some of the pressure of your stars to have to do so much for you to be so good, right? Jrue Holiday is one of the better guys for that. Guy that can easily come in and really take just a ton of pressure on both sides of the basketball for both Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. Where the Clippers, a lot of the guys have just kind of either just haven't worked out or they've kind of just been scorers, right? And it's like, well, what about the defense? Well, we have Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. Yeah, you do for a week at a time, and then they're hurt, and then that's it. So, I don't know. Anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? Do you think Jrue Holiday makes a world of sense for the Clippers? Do you think the Clippers should go make a strong push for Jrue Holiday? Do you think no? He should go elsewhere. He should go somewhere. And I mean, look, based on the reports, sounds like Jrue Holiday is interested in the Clippers, right? And the Clippers are interested in him. So if the reports are true, both sides are interested, make a push. Go do something, right? Like, make it happen. But anyway, what are your thoughts? What are your opinions? Love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments.